Good morning, everyone. May I have your attention, please? Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. My name is Omolara Balogun. I work for West Africa Civil Society Institute, WACSI, as a policy advocacy officer. We are very happy to welcome everyone to this occasion. It's a dream come true for West Africa Civil Society Institute and West African Civil Society Forum, WACSI and WACSO, who are partnering to inaugurate this platform. We are very glad to welcome you to the first annual West Africa Civil Society Conference under the theme Strategizing for the Post-2015 and ECOWAS Vision 2020 Development Agenda for West Africa. It also gives, it's with great honor and humility that we also have to introduce to us the chairman for the opening section. I feel really, really humbled to take on this assignment to introduce Professor Kwame Karikari. Professor Kwame Karikari is the founding and former executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, a press freedom and freedom of expression advocacy and promotion organization based here in Accra, Ghana. The Media Foundation for West Africa covers all 15 countries in the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, include plus Mauritania. The Media Foundation for West Africa engages in media law reform, legal defense of journalists, press freedom, monitoring, and protection of persecuted journalists. Professor Kwame Karikari, for several years, has been a professor in journalism and mass communication at the School of Communication Studies at the University of Ghana, Legon. He has been involved in training journalists in several countries in Africa over the years. He has practiced as a journalist for many years and has served as the Director General of the Public Ghana Broadcasting Corporation in the early 1980s. Professor Kwame Karikari has also been an activist, I believe we all know that, pursuing social justice and human rights cases in Africa, including democratic reforms in Ghana. He serves on the board of a number of African and international rights organizations and on the editorial boards of academic publications. Professor Karikari was educated at the City College of New York and Columbia University in New York. He retired from Media Foundation for West Africa since January 2014, and has gone back to the University of Ghana, the School of Communication Studies, to teach and to continue his research. It is with great honor and humility that I present to you the chair for the opening section of this conference, Professor Kwame Karikari. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues. I'm honored to be treated like what do you call it?
An old man.
An old man. and a comrade. It's gratifying to see that our constituency is still alive, kicking and growing. I think that that's perhaps the only way we can continue to make some meaningful contributions to our region. In my own estimation, for about the last 2 decades or so, since this region experienced the movement for democratization, there has been some significant progress in the political governance of our societies compared to years before the late 1980s. There's also been very significant improvements in human rights comparatively. I think also that there has been some progress in interstate cooperation in our region to resolve conflicts and promote peace. But I think one of the most important developments is our constituency. There has been a major development in the emergence, growth, and role of civil society in promoting democracy, human rights, social justice, and peace in our countries and in our region overall. However, I think that we all do know and appreciate that there are still major challenges and even threats to the progress we have made and to the very existence and well-being and welfare of our societies. For instance, our region now confronts the problem of fundamentalism, extremism, and terrorism. It may be manifest in a couple of countries, but the entire region, this I think is one of the most critical political challenges facing the region. There is also the problem of criminality, both at the level of the state and within the societies we live in. But one of the major worrying criminal activity across the region is the menace of drugs, dangerous drugs, which even threatens the very existence of some states like Guinea-Bissau. Of course, we also do know and we are confronted with poverty in our societies all the time. The much touted economic growth that is reported so enthusiastically in international media still does not seem to make the impact on the lives of our people. And economic integration of our region is still not progressing enough at all. Despite the progress made, there are still many governance problems in our countries. And now currently we also confront a major public health problem which accentuates, of course, previously existing public health problems that bedevil our societies and impair the happiness of our citizens. We are here again to take up a major issue of development for our societies. And I do believe that we will do justice to the theme, we will do justice to the objective that have brought us here, But we may also want to contemplate how do we use more effectively the ECOWAS organization. The ECOWAS has many important instruments, conventions, protocols, as well as many important mechanisms for promoting many of the ideals of democracy and social welfare. How do we, as a community of civil society organizations, make more effective use of these institutions of the regional organization? I refer, for instance, to the ECOWAS Court of Justice. It's one of the very few regional courts that, for instance, does not require prior exhaustion of local remedies. The Media Foundation of West Africa has used it effectively. However, as in so many cases, the states that are signatory to this very laudable institution go against the rules of that court. We have a number of cases we won at the court, but which governments have refused to implement in their jurisdictions. So it's important that we find time somehow to also contemplate how to use effectively these institutions and how to get them to work to support the progress of our people. Dear colleagues, I think that the gathering here today is another opportunity for us to move forward with some of the issues that we have been contemplating on and we have been grappling with over the years. We may also consider how our constituency, our NGOs and civil society organizations can sustain themselves, because it is a major challenge, the sustenance of our movement for civil society intervention and contribution to progress in our region. Dear colleagues, once again, I'm gratified that I've been invited to participate in this and to keep reminding myself that retirement is not an end to actively engaging in your people's progress. So I would like here to express my thanks to Nana and Jimbo and all of the others who have kept the flag going and who have elected me to chair the opening of this program. And I do hope that we use these 2 days very, very effectively to come up with practical resolutions that will help us move forward. Thank you very much. I will now welcome Nana Santua Afagino, Executive Director of WAXI, to also make her remarks as, I think, the hostess of this whole conference. I serve on, I think, one board with Nana, the Graphic Corporation. The Graphic Corporation is the biggest media organization in this country. We serve on the same board, and I think on some kind of boards also. I'm quite glad that my niece here, she's my niece actually, that she's working hard in our TV. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for agreeing to chair this opening session. Retirement does not mean that you are tired, and we will not let you rest. Well, let me address you as Your Excellency on behalf of the President. Dear colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with great delight that we welcome you all to this first annual conference of civil society in West Africa, organized by the West Africa Civil Society Institute in collaboration with the West Africa Civil Society Forum. These are 2 regional organizations that have as a focus enabling civil society in West Africa to effectively engage and make relevant contribution to the sustainable development of our sub-region, working in collaboration with governments, the private sector, and other development partners. WACC's mandate is to strengthen civil society by enabling their effectiveness, their efficiency, and their sustainability in the long term. And WACSO, as a recognized regional civil society platform, is the interface between civil society and government at the ECOWAS level, and is also expected to carry the voice of West Africa's citizens to our heads of state and governments as they formulate regional development policies, and bring back to these people those development policies in a way that makes sense in their day-to-day lives. I had to give this background because it gives us the context within which these two organizations, with the support of the Commonwealth Foundation, have initiated this convening of civil society in West Africa to deliberate on our regional development agenda, ECOWAS Vision 2020, within the global development context, the post-2015 development agenda. And additionally, and I think this is also extremely important, to interrogate our role in making this development agenda real in the lives of each West African. It is also the space for us as civil society, not only to review our development agenda in the sub-region and make contributions to it, but also to do some introspection. Have we taken up our role adequately? West Africa, within the community of regional economic groupings on this beautiful continent of ours, Africa, remains an example when it comes to government's recognition of civil society's role in development. In several of our protocols, this recognition is highlighted. Yet, there seems to be a number of obstacles that have prevented us from fully assuming this role and engaging effectively with governments. It's not only engagement with governments that we have to discuss, but also how well we have been able to bring back ECOWAS to the ordinary man, woman, and child in West Africa. How well does that woman selling in the streets or that man driving your car know what ECOWAS is and how it affects his or her life? How well have we used the national focal points for citizens' engagement with ECOWAS? Do we even know them? And have we pushed for the space to engage with them if there have been challenges? How well are we equipped to deliberate effectively with the technical experts on those key development issues that have been targeted in the ECOWAS Vision 2020? How well have we organized ourselves to ensure that we coordinate, harmonize, and effectively impact our sub-region in a way that does not fragment our fronts and our efforts? What about collaboration? How well have we fostered this? Can we look at engaging more faith-based groups, traditional leaders, voluntary associations, professional bodies, labor, and even the new upcoming groups like the social media groups, bloggers, etc.? It is hoped that this meeting will help us get answers to some of these questions and enable us to formulate the needed strategies to make civil society's engagement in West Africa more effective, efficient, and sustainable. As we look at achieving the objectives of Vision 2020, this will enable us to play our role in making sustainable development real in the life of the ordinary citizen of West Africa. Thank you for making time to be here. Let's make the most of it. Akwa.
Thank you very much, Nana. We will call on the Awal Musa Rafsanjani, the Acting Executive Secretary of WACSO, to also take the podium.
Mr. Chairman, sir. Allow me to stand on the existing protocols. All protocol respectively observed. It is with great pleasure that we welcome you all to this timely event, the 10th Annual West Africa Civil Society Conference, which is the one of its kind in the region. Let me also convey to you the greetings of Madam President of WACSOP, Mrs. Natalie Turoti, who is unavoidably absent. She wishes the aim of the conference could be reached for the sake of the ECOWAS of the people. This event, with the theme Strategizing for the post-2015 and ECOWAS Vision 2020 Development Agenda for West Africa, is coming at no other better time than now that we are close to the Millennium Development Goal timeline, which is just a few months away. Despite the fact that the timeline to achieve this goal is near, a lot of them are yet to be accomplished, with most regions, especially in the West African countries. This is why this conference is not only pertinent, but is being organized at the most appropriate time and remind us that a lot have to be put in place in less than a year now. Obviously, collaboration on the post-2015 agenda in West Africa is weak and uncoordinated on the regional scale. And this is where WACSOP has got a role to play. To meet its mandate and position as West African regional and focal point for civil society discussed on the post-2015, it is exceptionally placed to promote civil society ownership and active involvement in pushing forward a new agenda that is increasing recognition of the need for civil society in West Africa to work toward greater synergy to ensure coherent outcomes that reflect regional and continental priorities. Civil society in West Africa is an essential part of proper functioning of the states and possesses a wide range of knowledge, experience, and expertise that could be of great benefit to the states. By virtue of its flexible, multidimensional, and non-rigid structure, it has the capability to adapt to rapid global changes, helping to initiate, promote, strengthen comprehensive, objective dialogue between governments and their people. In this way, civil society groups foster conflict resolution, advances human rights, and promote better democratization process in our region. Ladies and gentlemen, a strong West African civil society will contribute meaningfully to the successful design and implementation of development policies. However, in spite of its many advantages, civil society organizations are operating with serious challenges, some of which include low capacity to carry out their mandate fully, lack of recognition and respect from governments, and unavailability of funds or financial resources to develop innovative approaches to regional development challenges. All of this has deprived stakeholders of critical civil society perspective and is ultimately stagnating regional development agenda. In the light of the above, there is therefore the need for a strong case to be made for empowering West African civil society groups through WACSOP to secure a place at core of the development in the region by creating a path towards political renewal and deepening of democracy and good governance in our region. To address the numerous development challenges in the region, WACSOP, West African civil society groups constituency represented by WACSOP in partnership with WACSIP through the support of Commonwealth Foundation in London, collaborated to bring together civil society organizations, institutions of governance, development partners, and other relevant stakeholders to strategize and design a post-2015 regional development agenda framework that will be mainstreamed into the ECOWAS regional development agenda and the ongoing discourse on the post-2015 development agenda. The objective of this conference, therefore, is 1. To institute an annual platform for civil society to discuss development issues. 2nd, to review civil society participation in the post-2015 and devise strategies to influence the ongoing discussions at the regional level. 3rd, to discuss the civil society can use to effectively engage and the Vision 2020, through workshop. And finally, to highlight the key capacity building areas to enable effective and constructive engagement by civil society. We are also expected that at the end of this conference, a detailed report that captures the richness of debates on the various topics that will be discussed here, as well as the key aspects of the presentation and the identified ways forward are made available. We are also expected that after this conference, post-2015 and the ECOWAS Vision 2020 Development Agenda, Regional Strategy Intervention for Civil Society to engage ECOWAS is also going to be developed after this conference. We are also expecting that key capacity building areas and regional advocacy strategy for CSO to effectively engage ECOWAS on the post-2015 and ECOWAS Vision 2020 Development Agenda will have been identified and engaged by civil society groups in the region. We are optimistic that at the end of the conference, West Africa civil society would be able to engage with ECOWAS, national government, development partners on the realization of ECOWAS Vision 2020 and the post-2015 development and regional agenda. Also, local regional issues, would have been identified by civil society groups to be reflected in the development agenda of ECOWAS. It is therefore pertinent to note that workshop is seriously concerned in the working with the government of West Africa and ECOWAS in the key areas of democracy and governance, peace and security, migration and free movement, natural resources and economic development, agriculture, food security, trade and investment, women and gender, regional and continental integration, as well as health and youth empowerment. We urge the national focal person of ECOWAS in all the states to closely work with all the workshop national platform in supporting the implementation of ECOWAS Vision 2020, in supporting the implementation of Vision 2020, as well as we are committed to making sure that ECOWAS move from really ECOWAS head of state to ECOWAS of people. Ladies and gentlemen, workshop as official hub for the coordination and synergizing of West Africa civil society groups, initiatives and activities, as well as interface with ECOWAS, nomenclature and processes, will be delighted to continue to work with other regional organizations in creating an enabling environment for civil society to engage effectively and constructively in the development agenda of West African states. We therefore call on all civil society groups to identify themselves with workshop national platform in all the West African countries to work towards greater synergy to ensure proper engagement with ECOWAS Commission in achieving the Vision 2020. Our vision in workshop is, of course, with the ultimate aim of facilitating building of a network, promotion of solidarity, trust, reciprocity among the civil society such that they can better enhance efforts of ECOWAS to foster regional integration and development in West Africa. We'd like to thank Commonwealth Foundation for their continued support and urge them to continue to strengthen our engagement with the regional institution of ECOWAS by providing us with enabling support to effectively coordinate civil society organizations in the region. We also thank WACT for its full support in organizing this conference. The Institute has been of immense backing in ensuring that this conference is reality. We also thank other development partners, journalists present here, and all other participants for visiting this occasion. We hope that by next year, we work together, we'll be able to evaluate, our performance of engagement with ECOWAS and development, agenda of I would like to, once again, thank you for, accepting to be part of this historic, conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. We'll make just a minor shift in the program. The President of Ghana has appointed a representative to come here and represent him. Now he has to quickly go and attend to some activity in the President's office. So he has requested that we jump him to complete his assignment and go to the President's office. So we'll go and let Mr. Daniel Bachidam, who is the governance advisor at the President's office, in the Presidential Office of Ghana. Mr. Bachidam, before this appointment to advise the President on governance affairs, has worked with civil society in a number of civil society organizations for over 15 years, mostly in the area of transparency and accountability. One of his last assignments was with the African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption, working with institutions like the Pan-African Parliament, the ECOWAS Parliament, and so on. He had, prior to all that, also worked with the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the local chapter of Transparency International. And he was, prior to all of this, also a journalist, a trained journalist, and interestingly, or happily for me, one of my students. He and his boss, the President, were all my students at some point. So without much ado, let's invite Mr. Bachidam to make his presentation on behalf of the President of Ghana.
Thank you very much, Prof. Mr. Chairman, development partners and civil society actors from across the sub-region present, board and management of WACC and WACSOF, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, women and men of the media. Maybe before I go on with my official comments, I should like to say sorry or apologize to the group for having caused the shift, and also for the fact, more importantly, for the fact that I will not be able to sit through this meeting, which I would have very much liked to, because I still feel more at home in the civil society sector. Unfortunately, I have to be away. I'm also actually humbled and privileged to be sitting next to my teacher. Maybe he didn't know, but there have been times that I said in my work that if I wasn't doing things right, it's because Professor Karakari and others taught me. So they should blame them. But fortunately, from what I gather, they should rather be praised for making people like us able to give back to our society what we have been given by age. Mr. Chairman, on behalf of President Republic of Ghana, who is also the chairman of ECOWAS, I extend a warm welcome to all present this morning. At the heart of the reasons why we are gathered here are important issues that will have a significant impact on the future of West Africa and Africa as a whole. You may know that the time assigned for the attainment of the Millennium Development Goals will soon be up, and our region needs to be ready, notwithstanding the myriad of developmental challenges we face. Our struggles to provide universal primary education to the sub-region's children, empower its women, reduce child mortality, and improve maternal health, among others, are known to most, if not all of us. Added to these are the several threats posed by climate change, rapid population growth, poor governance, and the increase in infectious and non-infectious diseases, including the Ebola virus pandemic, which governments are currently battling. Mr. Chairman, recent security threats to the region have only worsened. Constant exchange of arms and other weapons across our borders, international criminal activities and others have littered our media over the past few years. One does not need to be an expert to recognize the very negative effects these security threats have on any economy, and to notice how these threats restrict participation in public life, destroy infrastructure, and shatter lives. Mr. Chairman, as leaders, we are resolute in our determination to resolve these challenges and move West African states to a much higher level of development and regional prosperity. This is reflected in ECOWAS Vision 2020 initiative. The essence of Vision 2020 initiative is to, quote, create a borderless, peaceful, prosperous, and cohesive region built on good governance and where people have the capacity to access and harness its enormous resources through the creation of opportunities for sustainable development and environmental preservation. The vision focuses on strengthening West Africa's resource development, economic and monetary integration, good governance, the private sector, and the community. Mr. Chairman, leadership is committed to achieve the 2020 in spite of the numerous challenges currently facing the West Africa sub-region. The region continues to contend with financial constraints that slow down the implementation of projects under the various thematic areas. To manage the paucity of appropriate technical expertise needed in translating the vision into reality, we operate in a multilingual context which creates barriers in achieving the cohesion and unlimited borders spelled out in the goals of the initiative. And finally, Chairman, we are faced with persistent emergency situations such as sporadic civil unrest and the current outbreak of the Ebola virus. It is self-evident that only the committed and concerted effort of all stakeholders shall make Vision 2020 and other allied initiatives a success. Civil society has been active in pushing forward several development agendas like the Sustainable Development Goals, transparency, and good governance, and remain indispensable. Remain partners in this work towards progress and development. Beyond engaging national government, civil society now collaborates at the regional level with ECOWAS because we must have a regional approach to development. We must also entrench the view that development must be centered on and driven by the people. This approach, Mr. Chairman, bodes well for West Africa because it encourages grassroots participation in development activities. Leadership would want to see even stronger collaboration between civil society, individual government, and ECOWAS. Mr. Chairman, I believe this gathering of hearts and minds will be of great benefit to the ECOWAS sub-region. The two things to reflect on deeply during the deliberations at this conference and beyond are the MDG post-2015 agenda and the ECOWAS Vision 2020. Most importantly, how can governments in the sub-region and civil society work together to achieve our objectives? While the post-2015 agenda is very important to us because it is a commitment made at the global community level, the latter remains the foremost West African imperative. It is our agenda, it is our dream, it is the benefit our people deserve. I am particularly pleased to have been invited to witness the commencement of this meeting and do expect you to come up with pragmatic actions that would ensure an early and successful realization of the ECOWAS dream and ECOWAS of people by the year 2020. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, I declare the conference open and wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And we will also, first of all, express our gratitude to the President for being represented here. And we would like to also ask you to extend our appreciation and good wishes to him. We will now continue with good messages. The first one from the program manager of the Commonwealth Foundation in London.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests and participants, friends and colleagues. It is a privilege and honor for the Commonwealth Foundation to be taking part in this first annual West Africa Civil Society Conference. I will take the opportunity to thank everyone who's been behind the organization and working hard to put this conference together, especially to Nana of the West Africa Civil Society Institute, with whom we have built a strong partnership to implement our capacity development program and the facilitation of a process in which civil society establishes a constructive engagement with ECOWAS. Recently, the Commonwealth Foundation put together a paper with the participation of our implementing partners. And as a result, we came out with 12 key insights for building blocks for constructive engagement. We find constructive engagement as an approach to advocacy for social change and transformation that seeks a reciprocal relationship between civil society and institutions in governance, like ECOWAS, respect, trust, legitimacy, transparency, and competency. So here we are all under the same roof, but we know this is just the beginning of a process. We will be talking about identifying priorities for West Africa civil society organizations within the framework of ECOWAS Vision 2020 and also the post-2015 agenda in West Africa. Vision 2020 based on a framework of 5 themes that will ensure the delivery of important programs in natural resource and environmental management, education and culture, conflict management and resolution to guarantee peace and security in the region. The third theme of this vision is governance, which requires leaders to be accountable to their citizens and to demonstrate a high degree of integrity in the management of public resources. The fourth theme is based on economy and monetary integration, which are both intrinsically related to the management of energy and to keep with the pace of information and communications technology. And finally, the fifth theme, which is the private sector and the importance of the development of small and medium enterprises. Vision 2020, therefore, sets a very comprehensive framework for integrated development in West Africa. Prioritizing areas within Vision 2020 will be a necessary step for a constructive engagement between civil society organizations in West Africa and ECOWAS. And I wish everyone involved in this conference wisdom and determination within a process of relationship building and understanding common self-interest. If we were to talk about ownership and accountability, we also need to talk about representation. Whose voices are we bringing to the negotiation table? Those voices, do they feel represented? Who is behind all of our organizations? What is that critical mass that we represent? At the same time, we need to bring rigor and robustness with every proposal that civil society organizations take to the table. There should be a partnership built between research and advocacy. I finally borrow some of the findings from our constructive engagement documents, which says, advocacy often takes a long time to achieve change, and many civil society organizations face the fatigue of membership to maintain the momentum of a campaign. Refreshing the leaders, bringing new people, energy, and ideas into a network can help to keep constituents energized. This is why the Commonwealth Foundation has a long perspective for working in partnership towards effective participatory governance. The Commonwealth Foundation will also work in partnership to contribute to participatory governance with a regional approach. So we will accompany you in this journey, well aware of the challenges ahead and of the nature of advocacy work. Allow me to share with you all the findings of the United Nations Development Group post-2015 dialogues, partnership with civil society. It was a Global Today meeting that took place in Cambodia last October. They discussed and further developed 4 key recommendations that emerged from national dialogues and online discussions. The first one says, recognize and understand the role of civil society in policy development. The second one, create an enabling environment, build a policy and regulatory framework that maximize civil society contribution towards development objectives. The third one, proactively align with the stakeholders' priorities, including those of government, civil society, and private sector actors. And finally, the fourth, to set up and maintain accountability mechanisms that monitor partnerships and progress in implementation efforts. I invite all participants to look further into the findings of this document. Very interesting. The emerging key recommendations are so relevant to the work we are about to start in today's conference, acknowledging that civil society plays an important advocacy and mediation roles in policy development, that the role of states is to foster an enabling environment for civil society partnership is critical for the implementation of the 2015 agenda. Multi-stakeholders partnerships should be based on the principles of inclusivity and complementarity, acknowledging that no single actor can address sustainable development challenges alone, and each partner brings a particular added value into the dialogue, as well as specific capacities for implementation. And finally, citizen engagement in monitoring and accountability can strengthen policy making and social inclusion. It is clearly, therefore, bringing together to this meeting the two frameworks, Vision 2020 and the post-2015 agenda. The Commonwealth Foundation wants to add value to participatory governance in West Africa. We want to contribute to capacity development of regional civil society organizations in West Africa. And we also would like to be effective in bringing together governments and civil society organizations for constructive engagement. We wish you all a productive and effective conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nieto. The ECOWAS representative hasn't arrived yet, so we'll bring the opening to a close with the encouragement that we try and use these 2 days very effectively and come up with very concrete resolutions that we can follow up on. At this moment, I'll call on the communication officer of WACC to come and give us some information about things to do now. I understand we will have a group photograph, so he will let us know where to go for that.